Okay, basically, y'all know me as Anna or Rachel, okay? I do a podcast called Anna Taylor Radio. Taylor is my maiden name and media name, now that my name is Smith. So on Facebook, it's Anna Rachel Smith. Media, publicly, it's Anna Taylor or Anna Taylor Radio. So basically, I'm doing a podcast episode, and I'm doing it live. Sometimes I do lives on my Instagram, sometimes I do lives on my Facebook. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok so I can go live. That's where I really want to go live. So, because it's more interactive with people and talk to people and things like that. But this episode is going to be about abortion. So, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, okay, I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but, you know, anybody can join in on this conversation. I ask everybody to be respectable, especially in the comments. If there's something I miss, if there's something that you want to inform me about or have me look up to tell people or share in the comments with people, or if there's something I got wrong maybe or whatever, let me know. You know, or something that you want me to talk about or want my thoughts on, you know, just comment. I'm going to try and keep up with the comments the best I can. I'm not used to Facebook Live, so I might be like, you know, trying to figure this out. But anyway, I'm going to then save the video and then upload or edit and then upload this video to my YouTube channel, Anna Taylor Radio. So if you haven't, go to YouTube, please go find Anna Taylor Radio and click subscribe, click the bell notification, and, you know, just support my podcast. And also check me out on anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio Now. You can look me up on TikTok, which I think is Anna Taylor Radio Now, or Anna Taylor Radio. Facebook, it's Anna Taylor Radio, and on Instagram, it's Anna Taylor Radio. If you want to email me questions, comments, concerns, or you want to be a guest on the show, please email me at annataylorradio@gmail.com. I kind of look like crap right now. I'm not recording yet, so I'm just kind of like informing my Facebook Live audience. I've already recorded an intro to the podcast, like the actual podcast or whatever. So now this video right here is also being recorded on this, this right here microphone is being recorded on a program I have that I'm going to upload as my podcast. This right here, this video, this live video, I'm going to save to my Facebook as well as save to my photos so I can upload it to my YouTube channel, as I mentioned. So if you need that information again, just after I save this video, come back to the video later and find it, or go listen to my podcast at anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio Now, or look up Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Republic, Anna Taylor Radio. Okay? So let's get into this. There's a lot to talk about. So, like I said, today we are talking about abortion. Okay? It's a huge, hot topic, and honestly, I think it's the biggest topic and issue, especially here in America, period. Because it has to do with the life. It has to do with children, or the future of children, or, you know, the human species. So basically I'm going to start with Roe versus Wade happened, and recently it was, or is going to be overturned, so to say. Now, Roe versus Wade is not set in stone yet. So people who are pro-choice, who are like flipping shit, it's not set in stone yet, okay? Now, they said they're going to do it, but it's not set in stone yet. So, you know, calm down. Everything's going to be okay regardless, all right? Now, how can the Supreme Court overturn a decision, which is Roe versus Wade? When the Supreme Court rules on a constitutional issue, that judgment is virtually final. Its decisions can be altered only by the rarely used procedure of constitutional amendment or by a new ruling of the court. However, when the court interprets a statute, new legislative action can be taken. So that's pretty much what happened with Roe versus Wade. And then there's, now this information, basically I just got this from supremecourt.gov. It's a governmental website. But there's other questions, because I Googled it. I Googled the question, and that's what came up, that website, from the actual supremecourt.gov. And there's, different questions here asking, who voted against Roe versus Wade. It was a 7-2 decision that had Chief Justice Warren E. Berger and 6 other justices vote for Jane Roe, and Justices William Rehnquist and Byron White voted against it. I think that was like back in the day when it went through. Is abortion legal in all states? Yeah, pretty much, for the most part. So basically, moving on, I'm going to talk about basically there's 2 different types of abortion, and then there's several different classifications of abortion. So let's go over the 2 different types of abortion first. So we're going to go through the process. So I'm pregnant. Holy shit, what the fuck do I do? Or if the guy is with you, like, well, what do we do? There's several options. You can keep the baby and parent, you can abort, or you can keep the baby, give it life and place for adoption. When you have adoption, you can have closed adoption or open adoption. I personally am a birth mother who chose to place for open adoption. My oldest 19-year-old, I placed her in 2003. And honestly, and I do still advocate for adoption. Don't get me wrong. Because adoption, in my opinion, is a better option. But I am not happy with my adoption. I'm not satisfied with how it went. Because I was alienated from her and she was not encouraged a relationship with me. It was just, well, if she mentions it, no, encourage her to get to know me. You know what I'm saying? But that's me personally. And FYI, just a disclaimer, I am not here to shove any of my beliefs or any religion, especially, or anything down anybody's throats. Okay, this is just a conversation. We can, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, we can be adults here and just have a decent conversation. And I'm just giving out information as it is. We're going through the process of abortion. Okay, I'm going to do another episode on adoption, and then another episode on parenting. So there's different choices that you can make. Pretty much 3 major choices, which is the parenting, abortion, or adoption. And then with adoption, closed or open. But either way, you're pregnant. You're like, oh shit, what do I do? Right? All right, let's say you're like, I want to do an abortion, and that's your choice, and that's what you do. Okay, the 2 different types, and I'm reading this from the actual PlannedParenthood.org website. Okay, there are two kinds of abortion: the abortion pill and an in-clinic abortion. Medication abortion, also known as the abortion pill, consists of using 2 different medicines called mifepristone and misoprostol. I can't pronounce them, I'm sorry, but you can go to the website and read them for yourself. But to end the pregnancy, and you take these to end the pregnancy. This medication causes cramping and bleeding to empty your uterus. I've known several to take the abortion pill, and it's quite a process. It's kind of like having a very heavy, crampy period, but it's like having a really bad period, but just worse. And the process is very similar to an early miscarriage. In most states, the abortion pill can only be taken up to 10 weeks. So if you're 10 weeks or less pregnant, you can take this pill in some states. But if you're 10 weeks or more in some states, or between 10 weeks and I think 20 weeks, then you can't, depending on what state you're in. Okay? But it can only be taken 10 weeks after the first day of your last period. So if you're past 10 weeks, you can still get an in-clinic abortion. So if you're not eligible for the medication, you would get an in-clinic abortion, which is more of a surgical procedure. And we'll get into that. Your doctor or nurse will give you a detailed directions about where, when, and how to take the medicines. You may also get some antibiotics to prevent infection, because infection can and does happen, and you don't want that. In-clinic abortion, also called a surgical abortion, is a medical procedure. This is more invasive. Okay, this gets more serious. It does, because they're in your shit down there, and they're going inside of you, and they're going in your uterus. So, it works by using a suction to empty your uterus. But also, they don't mention here that they do use tools and instruments to rip baby's body parts apart, and that is true. That's a fact. How late you can get an abortion depends on the laws in your state and what doctor or abortion clinic or Planned Parenthood health center you go to. It may be harder to find a doctor or nurse who will do an abortion after the 12th week of pregnancy, so it's best to try to have your abortion as soon as possible if you're going to do one. Okay? Now, in some states, you can do them up to 20 weeks. That's a good chunk of baby. That's a good chunk of fetus or embryo, whatever you want to call it. Blob, whatever term you want to use. It's a good chunk of life, okay, when it's at 20 weeks. So, there could be more mental and psychological complications with that. The later you are in your pregnancy and getting abortion, which we'll get into that as well. And on this website, PlannedParenthood.org, they give a link under here. It says you can make an appointment for safe and legal abortion at one of our health centers. Now, this is just typical. I'm not a right-winger. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm not even a Christian. Sorry. But I am pro-life, okay? That's just my thing. I am pro-life for several reasons, which there's another episode I made about abortion on as to why I'm pro-life. So that, if you want to know why, go listen to the episode. But either way, with Planned Parenthood, I know the right-wing, whatever, pro-lifers, they hate Planned Parenthood. I don't hate them. I just don't like how they turn into a marketing ploy, because it does cost a lot of money. It costs a good penny to get an abortion. And they profit off of that, you know? But the reason why Planned Parenthood opened up wasn't because of the market, okay? It just turned into that. It did. But for women to have safer abortions, a clean, healthy, professional environment, because we women were using coat hangers and other kinds of drugs and things that were very dangerous to do, that either killed the woman or severely injured her, or sometimes the baby would survive and she'd carry it to full term, and then guess what? The baby's all fucked up because she tried to have a home abortion and wasn't successful. That's why Planned Parenthood opened up, okay? So whatever the right-wing, typical pro-lifers, like I said, I'm a pro-lifer, but I'm not right-wing, I'm not conservative, I'm not Republican or anything like that. But whatever. The people on the side of pro-life that don't like Planned Parenthood, if you want to be reminded, this is why Planned Parenthood started in the first place. Now, would you rather have that, or would you rather have the women continuing to have home abortions and either be unsuccessful and fucking these kids up whenever they're born, or, taking their own life, or, severely hurting themselves? Which one? Safe environment or non-safe environment? Hello? I would choose a safer environment. It's not that Planned Parenthood is like, oh, woohoo, let's go kill some babies. No. They want to help save women's lives and keep them from hurting themselves severely, or even the baby if it doesn't survive. Okay? That's why Planned Parenthood started. It was to help the women, not to turn it into a market, not to, celebrate a death of a baby or a fetus or embryo or whatever. No. It was opened to be a safe haven. And that's the truth. Whether you like it or not. Okay. So those are the two different types of abortions. Let's get into the classifications of abortions, which I didn't even know this. I just learned this today. And it's kind of interesting. So we'll go over the classifications of abortion, which I have to reference. The website is, which I don't have my glasses on, msdmanuals.com, professional version. Basically, it's just a general website. it's a no-brainer. You know, these are the different classifications. So it's not really anything that has to be referenced, really. But you have an early, which is an abortion 12 weeks before 12 weeks gestation. Then you have a late abortion between 12 and 20 weeks gestation. Like I said, 20 weeks, that's a good chunk of fetus. I mean, they got a heartbeat and everything. Spontaneous, which is non-induced abortion. And then an induced. Termination of pregnancy for medical or elective reasons. That's for whatever reason the woman chooses. Just because. For birth control, or maybe she cheated on her husband, or there's a million fucking reasons. Therapeutic. Termination of pregnancy because the woman's life or health is endangered, or because the fetus is dead or has malformations incompatible with life. Meaning, if it's, going to be born, if the baby's going to live in the belly and then be born and have all these different malformations, whether it be disfigured or whatever the case may be, they just won't live past a certain point. They might not live past a certain age or month or whatever. These babies typically die right after birth or within the first year or two. Threatened abortion is a vaginal bleeding occurring before 20 weeks gestation without cervical dilation and indicating that spontaneous abortion may occur. An inevitable abortion is a vaginal bleeding or rupture of the membranes accompanied by dilation of the cervix. Basically, it's, the uterus is detached, it's ruptured, that's not a good thing. Incomplete abortion is expulsion of some products of the conception. So this is whether abortion or even miscarriage, doesn't matter. This is when basically you have the expulsion of the fetus or embryo or baby, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and let's say its arms and legs have come out, but its head and body is still in your uterus. Just being straight up. That's what it means. It's basically the expulsion. So you got to get all the giblets out when you have an abortion. You got to get all of it out, or else you get infection, all kinds of, it's just not good. Again, this is why I said Planned Parenthood started to have a safe haven for women to have an abortion versus them using freaking coat hangers and shit and bad medicine or whatever medicines, whether cyanide or I don't know, whatever they used to use back then in the day or even now, whatever, and there's still women, also, like I said, it does cost to get an abortion. It costs, and some women can't afford it. And then they turn to trying to self-abort. And, I think if Planned Parenthood, if they're not so much in the market, I know they got to stay open and everything, but they need to lower the costs, I think, of abortions. If that's their goal, to save women, like I said, the whole reason why they started was so to prevent coat hanger abortions and the self-abortions and, what if the baby lives and survives and they're all fucked up because the mom tried to have a home abortion if that's why they started, then they should lower their prices, because some women can't afford those prices because it is pricey, and they still try a home abortion and either end up getting killed or, infections or whatever the case may be. All right. A complete abortion, expulsion of all products of conception. That means everything has come out of the uterus and is out and done. Reoccurrent or habitual abortion is up to 2 to 3 consecutive spontaneous abortions. Again, let me go over. Spontaneous abortion is a non-induced abortion. That is when basically we just went over the 2 different types. You have the in-clinic and then you have the medication. That would be like the medication. This is like your 3rd or 4th medicated abortion. You've taken the abortion pill in 3 to 4 different pregnancies. And yes, there are women who have had 2, 3, 4, 5 abortions and up. I know people personally. So yeah, it happens. But these are 2 to 3 or more consecutive spontaneous abortions, which are non-induced. Okay, that's not the surgical procedure. Missed would be undetected death of an embryo or a fetus that is not expelled and that has caused no bleeding, also called blighted ovum, an embryonic pregnancy, or I'm trying to read these without my glasses, sorry. Intrauterine embryonic demise. I'm going to spell it out, so if you want to write this word down, this is what the word is, because I want to get this right, and I'm not an idiot, not like I can't pronounce it, I just don't have my glasses on. So, all right, the word is INTRAUTERINE. Okay, that's the word. And then embryonic demise. And then there's septic. This is the last one, septic. This is a serious infection of the uterus the uterine contents rather. Serious infection of the uterine contents during or shortly before or after an abortion. So before the abortion, there could be infection that sets into the uterus, which could be why you have the abortion in the first place. You have an infection, and it's going to kill the baby anyway. So, you might as well have an abortion, right? And then after, especially if you have a surgical procedure, done, or the surgical abortion or in clinic abortion, like I said, infection can happen, but they can give you antibiotics and things like that to help prevent that or help with one if one occurs. Okay. Moving on. This website is out of the UK, but it's pretty much in general the risks of getting an abortion. It's nhs.uk, but it's pretty much the same as any other credible website or whatever. I wanted to try and find as credible websites as I could, including PlannedParenthood.org. Sorry, pro-lifers, but PlannedParenthood.org does have information on there that people need, you know what I mean? Especially if they want to learn about the process and things like that. So, like I said, I am pro-life, but I am not right-winger, I'm not conservative, I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious. Fuck that shit. Sorry, pro-lifers. I know the typical pro-lifer is a conservative Christian, whatever, but, you don't have to be Christian or religious or all that jazz, right-wing or conservative or Republican to be pro-life. And same thing with pro-choice. And I don't care what Christians say. You're not a Christian if you're pro-choice. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Yes, you can. You can be a Christian and be pro-choice, just as you can be a non-Christian and be pro-life. What the fuck? Anyway. Alright, so hang on here. I'm trying to get to this area where I'm trying to read. Alright, the risks, are different depending on whether you have had a medical abortion or surgical abortion and how many weeks pregnant you are. So with a medical abortion, again, that's the medication that you take. I couldn't pronounce the two words, but like I said, once this feed or live video ends, you can come back and re-listen to the very beginning where I mentioned the two medications that you take. It's called the abortion pill. And it's basically, long story short, poisoning to death the fetus. And killing and terminating it. Killing it, terminating, whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, the medical abortion. Before 14 weeks of pregnancy, the main risks of medical abortions are needing another procedure to remove the parts of the pregnancy that have stayed in the womb. This happens to about 70 out of 1,000 women. It happens. It's not rare, but it's not frequent. It's not even half, but it happens. It looks like it's about 40% of women who have these abortions or these types of abortions. So which means you taking these medications, which is supposed to expel naturally as if it was a miscarriage or something out of your body, out of your uterus, and it didn't expel all the bits and pieces. Like the head and the body might still be in your uterus. I'm just being real. Or the left arm and right foot might still be in the uterus. Whatever. Either way, all the giblets have not been expelled. Okay? And it needs to be removed. which would be in clinic. So serious complications such as heavy bleeding, damage to the womb, or sepsis, which is a serious infection. This happens to 1 out of 1,000 women. So it's not common, but it happens. From 14 weeks of pregnancy, the main risks of medical abortions are needing another procedure to remove parts of the pregnancy that have stayed in the womb. About 13 out of 100 women deal with this. And this is when, this is from 14 weeks of pregnancy, okay? What we just went over was before 14 weeks of pregnancy, right? So we talked about all the giblets coming out. That's before 14 weeks. So these are the risks for after 14 weeks of pregnancy when you do the medical procedure, when you take the medications, okay? So needing another procedure to remove all the parts of the pregnancy. Infection or injury to the womb. This happens to a small number of women. It's rare. Okay, so this is for surgical abortion. It gets a little more serious because it's more invasive, okay? They're all up in your shit and your uterus, and they're literally either sucking the life out of you or taking tongs and things and yanking the bits and pieces of what would be a baby out of your uterus, okay? So before 4 weeks of pregnancy, we're talking about before 14 weeks of pregnancy here, surgical procedure, okay? The main risks are needing another procedure to remove parts of the pregnancy that have stayed in the womb. This usually happens to about 35 out of 1,000 women. Serious complications such as heavy bleeding, damage to the womb, or sepsis. This happens to about 1 in 1,000 women. Now, this is after 14 weeks. This is surgical abortion after 14 weeks, okay, of pregnancy. Needing another procedure to remove the parts of the pregnancy that have stayed in the womb. Very heavy bleeding. Between about 1 in 10 of 100 women deal with this. Infection. This happens to a small number of women. Because usually, I mean, they can just give you antibiotics. I mean, that's why, you know, we have antibiotics nowadays, so. Injury to the womb or entrance to the womb, the cervix. This happens to a small number of women. Why the cervix? Because they are invasively going inside of you to chomp the pieces of the fetus out of you. They need to chop it up because depending on how far along you are, they can't just suck the bits out because the baby has formed so much so that they have to chop the leg off. They have to chop the head off. They have to chop the arms off. This is how it is. And it's more invasive. And, you know, shit can happen during that procedure and, you know, they might snip your cervix or something and maybe get an infection, whatever. But it doesn't happen to all women, okay? It's a rarity, but it can happen. But it happens to a small number of women. The clinic will provide you with the number of 24-hour helpline to call if you have any problems after an abortion. So, after an abortion, you do have support. Okay, they do give you wherever you get it done at, whether it be a doctor's or nurse's clinic, whether you have it done at Planned Parenthood, whether you do it at another abortion clinic, whatever. Unless it's a backwoods abortion place like somewhere in Mexico or something, I don't know. But yeah, most abortion clinics is going to give you resources or are going to give you resources and things and support, like a 24-hour hotline to call like a nurse or something like that, you know, to make sure that not only is it a successful but safe medical procedure, you know, like if there's too much bleeding or something like that during the night, you know, it's like, and she's not sure, you know, is this normal? She could talk to the nurse and the nurse can either guide or direct her, you know, hey, go to the emergency room, or hey, maybe try this, or lay on your back and put your feet up, or whatever. There's a million different reasons, but abortion can have an effect on fertility, health, and future pregnancies. And especially the more abortions you have, yes, it can affect your fertility and future pregnancies, especially if you want to get pregnant someday. If you are, and I'm not the type of person to be like, well, you shouldn't have opened your legs. Fuck that shit. That's rude and disrespectful. It's bullshit. But I'm just saying, if you're a person who has a lot of sex, whether it be with the same person or not, okay, and you keep getting pregnant, And obviously you're like, look, this is not the right guy, not the right time. I'm not ready to be a parent yet, blah, blah, blah. And you get several abortions. And like I said, mentioned, I know people personally who have had more than 5 abortions. And these are several women, okay, who literally use it as birth control. They literally either sleep around or they have one partner and they just keep getting pregnant and keep getting pregnant. And then they keep getting abortion after abortion. And if these women want to have a chance at pregnancy someday with the right person, right situation, whatever, it really can complicate that. The more abortions you have, you know, and your fertility, and health, and not just your physical health, but your mental health too, which we'll get into psychological and mental effects as well. Many women are able to get pregnant immediately afterwards, but so you should start using contraception right away. But if you do not want to get pregnant, so basically they're saying, you know, if you have an abortion and you don't want to get pregnant again, but you want the chance of having a baby someday, get on some contraception, like get on some birth control or some kind of birth control, which we need to up in this country. Like we need to like put more out there for free. Okay, free birth control. I think, in my opinion. I think there's already some free birth control. You just go to your local health department, I believe, and they give you free birth control. But that's the pill. There's other contraceptives like Noraplant, I think. It's something implanted in your arm. And then there's the Mirena or something like that. And some of it are vaginal vaginally placed. Some of it's in your arm. Some of them are shots. Some of it are pills. I'm on a pill personally. I take a pill. I forgot the name of it, but it's actually for my period. I'm done having kids. I have my tubes tied. You can get your tubes tied if you don't want kids. Hey, you know, and then untie them later, or have your husband or boyfriend or whatever. If you're a lifelong partner, you know, have the male have a vasectomy. We need to push for that too. Not make them, but just push for that. Because honestly, us women, dear men, put in all the legwork when it comes to fucking pregnancy. We have to be the ones that worry about it the most because we're the ones that put in the fucking legwork. We got to deal with our body image. We got to deal with carrying the baby. We got to deal with all the hormonal bullshit. We got to deal with, you know, if we have the baby, we got to deal with the labor pains and everything. And then we got to deal with what if the father doesn't even stick around? Then we got to be a single mom, you know? And like, straight up, get a vasectomy. Like, it's just a little snip. It doesn't really hurt that much. And, or whether you snip it or tie it. Same thing with tying or snipping your tubes. Same with fallopian tubes. Same thing. You can either snip it, meaning you can never have kids again. Like, that's done. That's your manhood. It's gone. You can never have kids. Or get it tied, just like your fallopian tubes. You can tie them. For later on, you can undo the procedure. Okay? For the ones that tie it, you can undo the procedure. And if I'm wrong on this, guys, please comment, correct me on this, okay? But you tie it and you can undo the procedure later. And then when you're ready to have kids, then, you know, you can actually produce easier than if the woman was on birth control. Did you know that? You know, if the guy was to get the vasectomy or do the birth control versus the woman, and let's say you're in a lifelong partnership, whether married or not, you know, and you want babies someday, it's actually easier for the man to do the birth control than the woman. Because when we get off the birth control, we got to wait on our hormones to straighten out. We got to wait on everything to regulate and all this bullshit, you know. And it just takes longer to conceive a baby once you're ready. If the guy gets a vasectomy and gets it undone or reverses the procedure, I mean, I think it's almost instantly that, you know, he's ready to go. So, you know, there's a very small risk to your fertility and future pregnancies if you develop a womb infection that is not treated quickly. The infection could spread to your fallopian tubes and ovaries. And this is known as pelvic inflammatory disease, PID. So, like I said, it happens. It's not common, but it happens and can happen, and it does happen. But yeah, infection is no bueno. You don't want an infection at all. Even with, you know, the longer you let the infection go, let's say you don't know you have an infection until it's so infected that you're in pain, and then you waited that long, then you get antibiotics. You might have already fucked up your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to get checked and keep in tune with your body and stuff like that, you know? So moving on. All right, this website I got is, let's see, I don't want to lose my spot here, but it's the National Library of Medicine, NIH, a National Center of Biotechnology Information, which is ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. Okay? This is talking about, like, the mental and psychological effects. I'm not going to read the entire thing because it's a whole freaking, like, essay. This says abortion contributes to negative outcomes for at least some women. There was a 2008 report of from the American Psychological Association, which is the APA, Task Force on Mental Health and Abortion. Okay? And it concluded that it is clear that some women do experience sadness, grief, and feelings of loss following termination of a pregnancy, and some experience clinically significant disorders, including depression and anxiety. Indeed, Task Force Chair Brenda Major, her own research had reported that 2 years after their abortion, 1.5% of the remnant participating in her case series, which were 38% of the 1,177 eligible women after dropouts, had the symptoms, all the symptoms for abortion-specific post-traumatic stress disorder. So post-abortion PTSD. In addition, she found that compared to their 1 month post-abortion assessments, at 2 years, the participating remnant had significantly rising rates of depression and negative reactions and lowering rates of positive reactions, relief and decision satisfaction. And the fact that some women do have maladjustments is most specifically documented in case studies developed by post-abortion counselors successfully treating women with maladjustments, including counselors working from pro-choice perspectives, as well as those working from pro-life perspectives. So this study was done by both pro-life and pro-choice perspectives, okay? So it wasn't just one way or the other. And this was done by the APA, the American Psychological Association, which they're pretty fucking credible. Not incredible, but credible. So basically, this is saying, you know, the up to 2 years, you know, they did the 1 month post-abortion and then up to 2 years, it had significantly rise. The depression, the anxiety, the feelings of grief and loss and things like that in these women and mental issues have significantly risen within that 2 year mark that they recontacted them to see how they were, you know, doing with the study, you know, for the study or whatever. And this was due to the post-abortion. You know, this was related to the actual abortion. And yes, you just like even women who carry the baby's full term, even if they carry a baby full term and want the baby, or and I'm not talking about adoption, so we'll get into that in a second, but I'm talking about women who choose to parent their child or welcome the child, you know, whatever, choose life. I have 2 small children. Like I said, I'm a birth mother. I placed for open adoption in 2003, so I know that aspect, and I know the aspect of parenting, because I have 2 younger children that I parent, which I'm actually alienated from right now, but that's besides the point. Anyway, me as a parent, you can get post-traumatic stress excuse me. It's called, I'm having a brain fart here. Well, it is a form of PTSD, but it's postpartum depression, okay? And it's basically because the baby's not in your room anymore. And it's basically your body physically manifesting and mentally manifesting into being like, it's basically saying, oh, where's my baby? Where's that thing? Where's that life that's been living inside of me for 9 months? Where is it? You know, and your nerves and your neurons and your muscles and your hormones and all that stuff is like, where is it? Where's that little thing at? You know, and it develops this postpartum depression, which can get really, really bad. And for those who parent, I'm talking like so bad that they end up a rarity. Some women end up killing their children because of it. Because they'll have the postpartum And you'd think, well, if their womb is missing the baby so goddamn much, why would they kill their fucking baby? Because it's hard to parent. First of all, let's say it's a single mom and she doesn't have much support. Or even if it's not a single mom. You know how hard it is to have a fucking baby? A newborn baby, and you don't get any sleep or anything? And you have a mental snap, a mental break, and you're just like, people have that. You know, and because of the depression, the postpartum depression, they have that mental snap. And then whatever reason, they will end up murdering their own child. That's worst case scenario. And it's rare, but it's worst case scenario. And either way, it does have effect, whether it be on your mental state, body, whatever, you know, it's just not good. And with adoption, like I said, I get into that in a second. With adoption, it can get even worse. So I said I'm also a birth mother that placed for open adoption. You're basically grieving a child that's alive. Okay? You know how fucking hard that is? It's enough that if someone dies, even a baby, even a child, at least you can have closure and peace because they have died. But with someone who's alive, a child that's alive that you're grieving over, that's just even harder, you know, and because you know they're alive and you know they're out there, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so hard, and you don't have your child with you. And regardless whether you regret your adoption decision or not, you know, you have this postpartum depression. It just makes it even worse. And I got postpartum depression when I placed my oldest for adoption, and it made me gain a lot of weight. It wasn't good on my mental health. My mental health was failing. I, for the first time at that time in life, had suicidal ideation. I called the suicide hotline freaking out, and I'm like, why am I like this? Why do I want to die? I never wanted to die before, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then the lady, the more she asked questions, she figured out, she's like, well, you know, basically, well, shit, you just had a baby and you placed for adoption. Of course you're going to be depressed, you know, and it's a depressing time. You're grieving, and you probably have postpartum depression. She explained that to me. She explained to me what postpartum depression was. I have never even heard of depression in my life until I called the suicide hotline, and she's like, well, this is why you're having these feelings and emotions, possibly. You know, she's not, you know, when you call the hotline, these people aren't doctors, they're not nurses, they're not mental health professionals. You know, they're just people to talk to. But, you know, it's just kind of common sense that, hey, she just had a baby, she just placed it for adoption, there's postpartum depression, you know, there's grief involved, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so that then helped me understand what I was going through, and then I was able to come out of that eventually, later on. And then even now, with my 2 kids, anybody who knows me personally, I'm alienated from my children because these assholes who have them want to keep me from them for God knows what fucking reason. I don't know. I'm a good mother. I don't know why they're doing it. I will be taking them to court. So I have a custody battle coming up, but I've been severely depressed. This is just a personal note. I've been severely depressed. I've been grieving, you know, just like when I placed for adoption, you know, grieving over children that are alive. And it's been very hard. I'm trying to hold back tears right now. It's been hard. It's very hard because, and then you got to think, you know, they just want to come home. I want them to come home, you know, and they probably have abandonment issues now because these people are keeping them from me. And just all kinds of, I know they have mental issues because I actually contacted their therapist and got their diagnosis. So, and then when these people who are keeping them from me found out that I found where their therapist is, they took them out of that therapist office and put them in another one where I don't know where they're at. But that's okay. I'm going to take these people to court and get their fucking asses. But anyway, excuse my French. But yeah, that can definitely happen as far as like mental and emotional. So seriously, I think that would be the biggest risks. In my opinion, would be the mental and emotional, psychological, risk factors versus physical. Physical is important. Physical risk factors like the infections and you know, things like that, because obviously, or like overbleeding or whatever happening with the, you know, when they have the abortion. But you know, I guess they would be equally as dangerous. But the mental state, see, you can fix the physical one with antibiotics, okay, and then you can get better and heal. Versus the mental one, it takes longer to fix your shit, to fix your brain. You know what I mean? You got to go through therapy, counseling, support, You gotta I mean, it's crazy. Okay, I don't want to put a stigma to mental illness, but quote unquote, it's crazy, meaning the process of dealing with the mental and psychological and emotional issues and things like that. So basically, I don't know who, I'm not even sure if anybody's commented yet or anything. You're welcome to comment. So that's basically all I have for this episode. So for anybody who's watching, or didn't catch the beginning, so once I post this, you can go ahead and click on it and watch the beginning or whatever if you didn't catch it. But this is basically an episode of my podcast. It's going to be a second abortion episode that I've done. The first abortion episode that I have on my podcast is basically the reasons why I'm pro-life. And no, I am not a Christian. No, I'm not Republican. No, I'm not right-wing. And no, I'm not conservative. So just like you can be pro-life and not be a Christian right-wing conservative, you can also be a Christian and be pro-choice. So these Christians and pro-lifers out there saying, oh, you can't be a Christian if you're pro-choice. No, that's some bullshit. You can be whatever you want to be, pretty much. You can be pro-life or pro-choice. It don't matter whether you're Christian or not. But I do appreciate everyone's support, and you can either watch this episode on my Facebook page, or I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel on Anna Taylor Radio. So look me up on YouTube. Please hit subscribe, hit that bell notification button, follow me on TikTok. I think it's Anna Taylor Radio now, or Anna Taylor Radio. Follow me on here on Facebook, Anna Taylor Radio. The actual podcast, you can either go to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Republic, and just type in Anna Taylor Radio, or you can go straight to the main website that I upload it from. It's anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio now. And that's where you can listen to this particular episode or other episodes that I've made. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to be a guest, please email me at annataylorradio@gmail.com. I'm Anna Taylor of Anna Taylor Radio. I appreciate everyone's support and love and watching this and listening and hearing me out. I talk about what most don't. That's my motto for my radio. And everyone have a great night. Thank you.